Okay, welcome to the first online office hours session. A couple of people stopped by just to check things out but didn't have any questions, so I didn't record any of that. I'm just starting recording now to give you a sense of what joining office hours will be like. Right now I'm recording, sharing my screen, and so that's a thing that I can do during office hours to talk about particular homework questions or to work through stuff. There is also a whiteboard, so I can share that. Let's see. This is a message that I had on it earlier while I was waiting for people to show up. But so there's a whiteboard that we can draw on. So at some point when we're doing logic homework problems like proofs, it'll be helpful to be able to actually write out some stuff. You guys will be able to write on the whiteboard as well, so we can kind of have a shared board to work on. And we can also have conversations where the only thing that you see are videos. So right now you can only see me because I'm the only one in this room, but when other people come, there'll be a bunch of videos so you can interact with each other that way. There is a chat function so we can chat if you don't have your video and mic on. I'm not sure how exactly the Zoom interface will look to different people. It looks different to me depending on which of my computers that I use it on. It's not the most wonderful user interface I've ever seen, but it's pretty workable, and so hopefully it should work for us. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is say a bit about, I'm going to show you my student view of Blackboard. I'm going to show you how to read your feedback and how to find solutions to homework or check-ins that you've done in the past. Well, I guess check-ins don't have solutions, but your homework and quizzes and stuff will. Because it's not exactly intuitive. So let's see here. Turn on my student view. Okay, so here's what Blackboard will look like to you right now. And we've got a lot of stuff on the home page. The home page is a little cluttered, but it'll always be current. So sometime over the weekend, I'll take everything here that's on the home page off of the home page and put it where it belongs. So I'll put these welcome videos somewhere. I guess I don't have a spot for those yet, but I'll put homeworks over in the homework sections here. So the weekly homework, you can click on weekly homework and you can see it there as well. And likewise with all of the other activities that you'll complete. The material for the various units, you will be able to find it over here in the module section. I'll only keep on the homepage what is relevant for the week. And let's look at getting feedback and looking at solutions. So once you have completed your week 1 check-in, I'll be responding to those pretty quickly. So soon after you've completed it, look back and look for this bluish bubble here. And if you click on it, mine just says feedback. I submitted a check-in as a test student and then I commented on it and my feedback was just feedback. I should have wrote something better like that would actually look like feedback. Yours, instead of saying feedback, will say, hello, thanks for checking in, or something like that. Okay, the part that is not intuitive. So I also completed homework 1. There's no feedback on that because it's all automatically graded. Later, when some of the questions are short answer, I still don't think that you'll get a bubble here. I think there's only a bubble here if I comment on the assignment as a whole at the end and not on individual questions. So I'll make sure to do that. It's not an obvious way of doing it. And I have in the past provided feedback that almost certainly nobody was seeing because it's not obvious how to get it. So if I provide feedback on the whole thing at the end of the homework, there'll be this bubble here. And if I provide any feedback at all, I'll try to remember to do that. So that way, if I wrote something personally, you'll see a blue bubble. But now, how do you go back and look at it? If you go over to the name of the assignment, so here in boldish blue again, we've got the name of the assignments. I'm going to click on homework 1. that brings you to information about homework 1. And then for some reason, the way to go back and look at it is to click on the score. And that brings me to some of the solutions here. So you can go back and read the correct answers and the response feedback. Another way that you can look at your homework, I believe, is to go to the homework, go back to it. And I think one of your options is to review it. No, it's not. Maybe that's once you've used all of your attempts. But if you got, say, a 20 on the first attempt and you didn't do any more attempts, and then 3 weeks from now you're studying for a quiz and wanted to go look at your homework scores, you might want to redo the homework, because that's a good way to study if you left yourself some attempts. Or you might just want to go to My Grades and go back and look at the solutions. I also said so I'm in the student view, let me get out of that. So, but earlier, but not right now, you would have seen this Zoom session information, and it says join the Zoom session here. Clicking on this link is what brings you to these virtual office hours, this virtual space. And that link is not available now, but it will be 15 minutes before the session starts and then throughout the session. So, what was my point in talking about that? Oh, I said what the topics would be. That was my point. So the topics that I had planned to say something about was how to view, feedback, and solutions, which we've already covered. And I also said I'd give you some brief homework advice and cover any questions that were asked in the Q&A forum in the last, up until the last hour. And nobody asked any questions in the Q&A forum or by Remind. In fact, I haven't received a single question from anybody. So I'm hoping that that's a good sign. And I'm hoping that nobody came to office hours, because so far everything is crystal clear. So if you did have trouble and you wanted to join it but you couldn't, or if this is just a terrible time, feel free to let me know, because maybe the time could change or something like that. And if there are problems, I definitely want to know. So there are no questions to cover. So homework advice. There's more than one good strategy for approaching homework. One good strategy for approaching it might be to just use your first attempt before you've started to study the material. Or even if you don't submit it, go through and answer all the questions before you start the material, and then maybe don't submit it. And then as you go through the material, it should look familiar or like the kinds of things you had just answered questions about. So then go back and redo your answers. Or you could just, without reading the material at all, answer everything as best you can, submit it, look at the answers, see what you already get, see what you don't, and then use that as a way to focus on the reading and the practice exercises. Because throughout the course, especially later, I think, there will be more resources than you might need. So you don't have to do every single practice exercise, or you need to do enough to feel confident that you understand the material and you understand how to do these kinds of problems. So being able to self-assess where you're at, what you do need to study in order to complete homeworks and quizzes, will be helpful for being as efficient as possible. And I would say a not so good way to complete the homework, a way that it seems to me that many people complete it, is to just do the two, like, don't try to answer the questions, just do your 2 passes as quickly as possible and get the 2 answers, and then try to figure out what the answers are on the third one by looking at the answers on the first 2. My guess is that people are doing it this way because they're completing the homework in like less than 2 minutes. Not necessarily in this class is just getting started, right? But they're completing homeworks in less than 2 minutes, rapid fire, and then spending a lot of time on the third one. And that seems like a waste of 2 attempts to me, especially if you aren't actually trying to answer the questions. Just for how brains work and how to learn material and make it as easy on yourself as possible. So I don't recommend that way for learning the material, especially since you can't memorize the answers for most of the questions in this class. They're all going to require using skills and not memory, not just memory. Of course, there will be some stuff that will help to memorize. Okay, so that's my general advice for completing the homework, and don't hesitate to ask questions in the Q&A discussion forum. I'd really like it if that was a place that people remembered is a resource or is a place that they can share with one another. That is all that I wanted to cover in this first video. So have a wonderful first week of school and good luck with your first homework assignment. And feel free to check in at any time. You don't have to wait till the end. You can check in whenever. Okay, I will talk to you over the next week, and I will see you on Wednesday.